Hey, we're gonna continue on in the next main session. We have with us a guest that many of you probably know from whether it's from the movie, from reading, or whatever. But with no further introduction, I want you to check out this video, and Kris Tanto Paronto will take the stage.
If you do not get here soon, we are all gonna die.
My name is Christian Paronto, and my call sign was Tanto. And I was with the 2nd Battalion, 75th Ranger Regiment. I was in Bravo Company. My teammates did so many amazing things. And it's a story of the battle. It's a story of a lot of sacrifice that went on. It shows that there's still guys out there that are willing to sacrifice their lives for others. You know, they put others before themselves.
All right. Hey guys, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Oh, it's right here. Oh, great. You kidding me? Sit down. You guys. No. I appreciate that. Sit down, guys. I appreciate it. Well, I have 2 sessions today. The second one is a little bit shorter. This one I'm talking today. Really what this main one is just to tell you about that night. Some of you may have seen me speak before, but if you haven't, I just kept here and ramble. It's like we're sitting around a fireplace and I'm just telling a story. That's it, just storytelling to you. I talk about leadership. I talk about overcoming adversity. I throw faith in there. I'll probably throw faith in a little bit more this evening because that is what this session tonight is. When I talk for a little bit, it's more based on faith. But really, guys, aside from never quitting, I'm not going to just beat it in your face. Say, hey, this is what you need to do to be a leader. This is what you need to overcome. This is what you need to do to handle obstacles. I'm just going to talk. And you guys got to figure it out for yourselves. That's what my daddy from Lubbock, Texas did. He never really said anything. He said, son, you just need to figure it out. And either I did or I didn't. Sometimes the belt came into helping me figure things out when I was younger, and that was necessary. And I had a Mexican mama too. My Mexican mama, believe me, she had that ruler ready to go. But I needed it when I needed, and it wasn't getting beatings, it was just getting discipline and learning integrity and learning ethics. And sometimes you had to learn it like that. That's how we did it in the old days. I still think we need to do it now. That's how we still do it a little bit in my house. Even though you'll see my little 4-year-old out there, he still gets away with, not murder, but he gets away with a whole bunch of stuff. But still, though, we're still trying to show discipline, and we're still trying to invoke anything but just, I guess, doing the wrong thing. But doing the right thing and doing the wrong thing is always situationally dependent. It really is. But you have to figure it out, and that's through mistakes. That's through successes. That's through getting disciplined every once in a while. That's through being a leader and pushing your people, just pushing them till maybe a few of them do quit on you. Hey, do you think everybody that went through Ranger Indoctrination Program, went through BUDS, went through Air Force PJ training, you think every one of them made it? No. About 90% don't. But the 10% that do are the guys that are going to be there when you get into situations like Benghazi. And I need those 5 other guys that I can depend on because they're not going to quit on me because they have faith. They have overcome adversity. They never quit. They never gave up, and they're not going to go quit on me. And that's the biggest thing that you should pull out of Benghazi. And when I talk about it again, I'm not going to get political. I used to a bunch. I got pulled into that political fray. I got manipulated a little bit. Now I have my personal feelings against politicians, but that's not political. You would too if you were left behind. If you were left behind to die, you'd have some personal feelings against some politicians. But the story of Benghazi, though, is more than just that. It's positives. They're the things I just said. But it's also sacrifice, selfless service, one of the Army values. 2 of my teammates died that night. I watched them die. Saw them get blown up right in front of my face as I was shooting my M4 over their heads. But you overcome, you don't quit. We had to keep fighting because the night wasn't done. Well, I'll get into it, Dick, because I'm already starting to ramble. I'm going to run out of time because I only have 45 minutes or so. So we'll just get into it. 9:32, we got a call. 9:32, I was with my teammate Boone, Dave Boone Benton, great guy, former Marine. He was a state platoon sniper. Been with him for 10 years. I couldn't think how much more of a blessing that I could have that night than to be with my teammate for 10 years. Contractor. Now, if you're a contractor and you're with a guy that you served with for 10 years as a contractor in a particular area, that's really, honestly, that's unlikely. I was lucky. Because as a contractor, you're on your own. You're going out to places on your own. You're not going out as a team, and you show up with whoever shows up there with you. The other 5 guys that were with me, Tyrone Roan Woods, who was a former Dev Group guy, SEAL Team 6, fantastic guy. Actually, he looked like that dude that you got on the wall. He looked like Leonidas. Dude looked like a Spartan. But, SEALs, they all get jacked up, rub their suntan oil on them, flip-flop. That's just how SEALs are. But he was big, dude, and I was blessed to have him. Tremendous leader as well. Jack Silva, SEAL Team 5, another tremendous leader that had been deploying to these various countries, Iraq, Afghanistan, Pakistan, for over 10 years himself. Then we had John Tig Tigan, who was a former Marine. And I'm just saying former Marine so I can piss off all you Marines in the audience because I know none of you are former. I love you guys, though. I just do it because I like to rib on you. But I love you guys. Seriously, you guys. And then we had Mark Osgeist, who was another Marine. And we had a tremendous team. Blessing to have all those guys with us. All of us were in our 40s at the time. All of us had been deploying for a long period of time. And I don't think that was a coincidence that, honestly, God, or whoever you believe in, I'm a Christian, worst Christian in this room by far. I've gone through 8 guardian angels in the last 2 weeks. They all keep quitting on me, going to God and say, how do you keep giving me this idiot? I can't control him. But I still am a God. Still believe in God. I still have faith. But what a good Christian I'm going to say to you is, you don't have to believe in God. Just believe in something. Have faith in something bigger than you. There is something bigger than you out there. I promise you. There is. But I don't think it was a coincidence, and I believe in God, so I'm going to say God. I don't believe there was a coincidence that God had that team there that night. We all had been through a lot of adversity overseas, seen a lot of stuff, seen a lot of death, taken lives. We had. So when that night happened, we needed that seniority over there, that experience over there, because it was the ability to handle a situation, a stressful situation where you're under tremendous duress and be able to just go, okay, I got this. That's a blessing. It really was. Courage breeds courage, just like panic breeds panic. You guys have seen the panic, how panic can breed panic and how panic can turn into riots. Sheriff Clark can probably tell you about that. Riot, panic, anger, it all breeds together. But when you're courageous and you have other courageous people around you, that breeds the same sort of positive energy. It breeds courage. I had those other guys around me that were tremendously courageous, that were holding it together. So all I had to do was look around and look at my SEAL Marine brothers and be like, okay, he's got control, he's got control, he's got control. I got control. I'm even getting chills thinking about it. It's just that positive energy is going, I got this. Yes, it's like superhuman. Well, when we got the call, I remember it was from our GRS team leader, and he says, GRS, we need you in the team room. That was us. That's what we were called, Global Response Staff, GRS. And when he looks at us, he says, GRS, we need you in the team room. First thing Boone did is actually he looked at me, and he said, Tanto, what'd you do now? Now, if you've seen the movie, Pablo Schreiber, who plays me in the movie, plays me exactly how I am. I am just the biggest smart ass, disrespect for authority when I'm downrange because I know what I'm doing. I will say what's on my mind. I don't care who you are, whether you work with the CIA, whether you're a general at AFRICOM, I don't care who you are. I'm going to say what's on my mind because of what I've been through. I know what I'm doing when my job is overseas. I probably needed to pull back a little bit at times, but that's me. So when he says, Tanto, what'd you do? The first thing I thought in my head was, okay, have I been playing jokes on the CIA case officers today like I always do? And did I piss one of them off? Are we all going to get in trouble again? Because I got in the habit of doing that all the time. All the Jason Bournes coming overseas, I always had to rib on them, push them a little bit. I wanted to see how they would react when we made a little fun of them. You know, Ranger Battalion as a private, you get hazed every day. I got hazed badly. But there was a necessity to that hazing. Because if I couldn't handle that little hazing that went on when I was a private at Ranger Battalion, when the bullets started flying, you guys have heard Colonel Cooper's color codes or your OODA loops, right? That OODA loop was going to keep resetting. I was going to go in the black, which means you are so overstressed that you just shut down. Because I can't handle a little bit of stress. Well, I used to do that to the CIA case officers. I think I got time to tell you about this. There's a reason we refer to Tropic Thunder a lot. The second greatest war movie ever made. 13 Hours, of course, was the first. Tropic Thunder, second. We do reference that quite a bit in the movie, in our movie. There's a reason we did that. It wasn't just because Michael Bay thought it was funny. One of the jokes I would play in the CIA case officers, I sat down and I told him, this is what I would do. Michael asked me, what did you used to do to play jokes on him? Well, this is one of the things I used to do. I had a placard from Sergeant Cyrus O'Malley, the Robert Downey Jr. character that was in Tropic Thunder. You know, the dude playing the dude disguised as the other dude, that guy. That famous scene in the movie that I got suspended from Twitter for because I said it. That was funny. This famous scene in the movie where he's talking to Ben Stiller and he says, never go full retard. Remember that? You remember? And those of you that used to follow me on Twitter, when I had an account, I got suspended for like 2 weeks for actually referencing that line when somebody made fun of Rob O'Neill. They said he didn't shoot bin Laden, and I defended Rob. Anyway, that's a whole nother speech too. But I had that placard, and it was a laminated sheet of paper, and whenever a CIA case officer did something stupid, I put it on their desk. So the first thing they saw in the morning is they came in, it said, never go full retard. And CIA case officers, they just get from the farm. Every one of them thinks they can bend bullets. They're all Mr. and Mrs. Smith coming over and taking care of business, every one of them. So when they see this Ranger, they don't know who I am from anybody. They just see this country guy putting this on their desk in the morning. Of course it pissed them off. So it'd get everybody in trouble. So come back to 9/11/2012, when Boone says, Tanto, what'd you do? I had to really think about it. I was like, did I do that joke? Did I put that dang Robert Downey Jr. poster on their desk, somebody's desk in the morning? I thought, no, I didn't. We're good. 30 seconds later, though, we do get a emergent call. It's from our GRS team leader. And he says, GRS, we need you in the team room now. And I remember the tone. It was just that tone, the hair on the back of your neck stands up. You guys hear it. I know some of you are on the road when you hear that radio. You hear that crackle on the radio, and you just know by that tone there's something wrong, something's up. And you have a choice. Adrenaline just skyrockets. And you can either use it to your advantage. I know how I would do it. This is how I learned how to do it. I just push it out. It's energy, right? It's energy. I can use it. I push it out to my arms and my feet, my legs. I push it out. And I said, man, something's going on. I looked at Boone. Boone's smiling at me. He knows what we're getting into. Boone saved me in Kabul once. He saved me in Baghdad once. We've been through a lot together at that point. So when I look at him and he's smiling, I finish his sentence and I just go, we could do some fun tonight. And we grab our gear and we head out the door. And as we head out the door, all I'm seeing is a firefight. I'm seeing the tracers at the U.S. consulate. We're at the Annex. We're 3/4 a mile away. I'm seeing orange and green tracers just going up in the sky. Those bullets that burn. We are the greatest military in the world, not just because we're so dang good and we train and we train and we train and we have guys that want to be out there, the special ops community, awesome special ops community, but we also have the advantage of night vision. Oh, we have great night vision. They don't. Terrorists don't. Thank God they don't. Because if they did, wars would be a heck of a lot different. But they use tracers. There's bullets that burn. Some of you guys have probably know what those are, especially ones that have served. Green and orange just shooting up in the sky. Because they don't fragment. They're a little bit harder. So they hit and they go, and it's incredible. Oh, it's beautiful. And I remember seeing that firefight and just looking up the sky again and going, thank you for putting me here. Thank you for letting me see this again. I saw it in Kandahar, saw it in Lashkar, saw it in Baghdad, saw it in Kabul. I mean, you just sit on a rooftop and just watch firefights. It's beautiful. Well, the team's full of leaders and the team is just doing what they do. Long story short, 5 minutes we're ready to go. Team leaders don't say anything. Nobody says a word to anybody. They're doing what leaders do at that point in time. They're shutting the hell up and they're doing their jobs. I said, 5 minutes, I look at Roan. He's there. I'm walking back to my car. Boone has my car out. That's what his job is, and to get his weapon systems. I go like this to Tyrone Woods. He gives me a thumbs up back. So Leonidas, that big Spartan-looking Roan, gives me a thumbs up back. I go to my chief of base here, go to my team leader here. I go, we're ready to go. Team leader looks at me. Chief looks at me all bewildered, dumbfounded. They're on their dang cell phones. I don't know who they're talking to this day. Still have no idea who they're talking to. Team leader looks at the chief. Chief looks back to the team leader. I'm like just standing oblivious here. They don't even know. It's like they don't even know I'm here. I'm like, Chief, we're ready to go. We need to get. Chief looks at the team leader, says to the team leader, tell these guys they need to wait. I'm like, thanks, Chief. I'm right here. You can look at me and tell me that. Team leader actually turns to me and says, you guys need to, and I stop him. I go, I got it, man. I got it. I walk back to my car. Roan is on the radio to me going, Tanto, what are they telling you? What's going on? I says, Bob's telling us we got to wait. That's hard. Because we're hearing on a radio traffic now from our State Department fellas, Alec Henderson, Scott Wilklin, Dave Ubin, the State Department security officers who are with the ambassador. We're hearing Alec, and he's barricaded himself in the Tactical Operations Center there, basically their main control center at that U.S. consulate, has CCTV cameras all over it so they can see everything that's going on in that compound. He's telling us on the radio, that's GRS, that's us. GRS, where are you? GRS, we need you. GRS, you got to get here. GRS, we're dying. But you can't go because leadership is telling you, nope, can't go, can't go, you can't go help, you can't go help. So we're holding it together. Like I told you, panic breeds panic, anger breeds anger. It's going to do us no good getting angry, at least showing that anger outwardly. No good. Take a breath. Okay, what do you start doing at that point? You start wargaming in your head, or what-ifing. That's what you do. That's what we were trained. That's what I learned when I was at Ranger Battalion. That's what I learned when I was with 19 Special Forces too. When you had to wait, you war game. You start thinking of situations and scenarios in your head from all the training and all the experience you pulled out in the field of what could happen once you do get out that gate. What do we need to do? First of all, it keeps your mind occupied so you don't start going, oh, this just sucks. This is awful. And you start realizing, once we get out this gate, we might get hit at this point here. What do we do? Once we get out this gate, there's an intersection. What if it's blocked? What are we going to do then? It's habitual. You're just going through habitual movements, habitual things that you've been through, either for training, like I told you before, train your people hard, because this is where these what if and more gaming things come in your head, where they're going to be ready, even just sitting there and planning their next move. It's like playing chess. And I remember, I'm just thinking, okay, all right, we're waiting. What do we do if we get to this point? What do we do if we get to the front gate? What if we see 500 guys at that compound? How are we going to address them? Where am I supposed to move to? What do I need next? It kept my mind occupied, but it also led to success, looking back on it now, after the whole night was over. Because I knew what I was going to do before I did it. And also, though, if something happened that I wasn't expecting, I was able to adjust off of it. Always train your people. Guys, if you're in charge, train your people hard. Train them so when the crap hits the fan, they will revert to their highest level of training. They'll go into habitual movements. I don't like to say instinctive, because instinctive to me says that your brain isn't working. Your brain is always working. I just think it's more a habit-forming movement. Well, as that 5 minutes turns to 10 that we're waiting, then 10 turns to 15, that's when I see Tig get out of his car, Marine Tig. He goes to Bob. They're arguing. Like, oh, I can see him fighting. I know that's not good. Tig gets back in his car. I get on the radio. I go, Tig, what's Bob telling you? He says, Bob's telling us we got to stand down. That's all I'm going to say about that. I'm not going to get into the politics of that. That's been beat to death. We're told to stand down. I can tell you what actually the positive that came out of that is all of a sudden you could just feel the energy from the team went from, okay, man's law, done. We're over it. Those rules, we're not listening to you anymore. God's law coming into effect. John 15:13, love is no greater than this, that a man lay down his life for his friend. That's why we serve, right? That's why you guys serve. Selfless service. You give of yourself. Come on, guys. Sacrifice. That's why we do it. Even if you don't like the person, we don't have to like them. We just have to be willing to put ourselves in front of that danger to help that person get home or succeed. It doesn't have to be about death too. Maybe it's just being so they can succeed in just anything in life. But it's easy. You can just feel the energy just turn. We know that if we leave the compound, we're disobeying orders. We will get no insurance. We're contractors. We're not covered by the government insurance. We have to pay for our own insurance. And there's a clause in there that says if you disobey orders, you get no life insurance and you get no health insurance. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Our families will be fine. They know what we signed up for. They can take care of themselves. They're strong. You'll meet my wife out there. She's bigger, got bigger arms than I do. She kicked my butt. She's strong. She's definitely strong. It's the right thing to do. Do the right thing. Now, we waited till the last minute. We exhausted everything to listen to our leadership. We did. You got to listen to your leadership first. Listen to them, listen to them, listen to them. But once lives are in danger, and then you can tell, you can look at them, visually see that they're panicking and locking up, you may have to sacrifice not just your life, but your job. We had to sacrifice our jobs too. We got fired the next year. And people say, oh, you didn't get fired. Well, we got all of our clearances suspended. So yes, we got fired. I got no security clearances in any agency anymore. State Department, DOD, NSA, CIA, all of them suspended. It's okay. We did the right thing. I see at the 25-minute mark, I'm watching just the base still panicking. I'm seeing just the firefight get bigger, and I can hear the explosions from RPGs now, rocket grenades, over at the consulate. And all I'm thinking is like, oh my God, this is going to be a suicide mission now. They have locked it down. We have lost the initiative. We did. 25 minutes, we lost the initiative. Ansar Sharia and Al-Qaeda in the Maghreb, they locked that place down. And then I hear Alec Henderson say on the radio to us, I hear him, he's a State Department officer that's been watching his team basically die on all the all the CCTV cameras. And he says, GRS, if you don't get here, we're all going to effing die. And I saw one of the coolest things I've ever seen in the world. I saw Leonidas. And he had an arm like that. I saw Tyrone. He cracked his door, and he went like this. And all I saw was this ham hock of an arm coming out that car door, and all I can think of myself is, I get to go comic with Leonidas. How awesome is this? And I went like this through my car door. I get chills thinking about it because it is. It's you feel like John Wayne. It's like one of the coolest things. You're like, this is cool. All right, let's go. But I'm thinking, I've been wargaming, what-ifing in my head that whole time. And as we're leaving, I feel like we're forgetting something. Because in my head, I'm going, I know we're forgetting something. I've been through this before. What do we need? What do we need? We need our interpreter. We need Henry. We call him Amal in the movie. He looked great in the movie, didn't he? He looked like actually he could handle himself. Real Amal, Henry, he looked like Bob Newhart from Egypt, is what he looked like. He looked, and not the young Bob Newhart, the old Bob Newhart in the show when they had the brothers Daryl, Dad Bob. He was the most adorable little droopy Egyptian looking, just the cutest thing ever. But I'm thinking, oh, we need him. I'm calling him on the radio. I can't find him. Have faith. Always have faith no matter what you're faced with. It's amazing that if you have faith, it always increases your luck. It's amazing how that works. Nobody can explain it. Not even the atheists. They can't explain it either. Have faith. I have faith I'm going to find him. I can't reach him on the radio. Stop the cars. We stop. I get out of my car. I'm driving my SUV. I get out of my SUV. I walk to the front. There he is. Like, oh, thank you. We need you, dude. He looks at me, little Bob Newhart, all scared. Doe-eye looks at me. His eyes are about this big. I go, we need you, man. I don't speak the language. We don't speak Arabic well enough. I don't want a friendly fire incident. I don't want a blue on green incident, which is a friendly fire with a foreign force, which has happened to me in Kabul. It's happened to me in Kandahar. It's happened to me in Baghdad. You don't speak the language. You don't know who friend or foe is. I remember he looked at me, and little Bob Newhart looked right in my eyes, and he goes, Tanto, I'm not a combat terp. He wasn't. He was a linguist. He wasn't weapons qualified. He goes, Tanto, I'm not a combat terp. I'm not weapons qualified. He said that right to me. And I handed him my pistol. I said, you are now. Go get your stuff. Little Bob Newhart grabbed my pistol, did a 180, and ran back into Building C where all of our gear was. And Boone's like this. He's leaning on our car. Boone's got out of our car now. So he's leaning on the hood like this, looking at me going, and I smile at him because I know what he's thinking. I go, I just lost my pistol, huh? He ain't coming back, is he? But little Bob Newhart, little Henry, I seen him running back out of the building 30 seconds later. His helmet was too big. It didn't fit him like it did in the movie. I think it was even on backwards. I mean, it was just jangling that helmet he had on. His armor, body armor, he had to borrow it, so it was about down to here. So all I see is he's coming out as this little Egyptian turtle running. His helmet's going everywhere. And of course, he's got the gun out here, and he's just flagging the whole base as he's running. And so I'm sitting there going, trying to do the juke and jive, but I was laughing the whole time, and I was so proud. That's courage. That was the most courageous act that night out of all of us. That right there. He had no business going. He has no training to do this. He knows he may not come back. He knows the area. He speaks the language better than we do. He's lived there. And still, he was willing to take that risk and come with us. Faith. He had faith in himself. He had faith in us. And I know he had faith in something, a higher power. That's courage. You don't have to be a ranger or a SEAL. You don't have to be on a TAC team. You don't have to be a medic. You don't to have courage. You just have to be willing to give of yourself, to sacrifice yourself for someone else. That's courage. Well, I remember he came out of that room. He came out of it swinging that gun. I put him in the back of my vehicle. Long story short, we shut out the gate. We get down to the compound almost. We got 400 meters from the U.S. consulate, and there's this big 8-foot-high block wall. And as we're driving down there is a foreign force. And it looks like I see one guy with a PKM, a belt-fed machine gun. And I see him, and he's shooting down the road where we're supposed to go. So the front gate's 400 meters down on this dirt road. He's going, brrr, and he's coming back. And all I can think of is, gosh, everybody else, all these other locals are running around with their heads cut off. And I'm thinking this. Boone actually says it to me. He looks at me and goes, we waited 30 minutes for this? I'm like, Roger. Well, can't cry over spilt milk. Deal with the situation. Don't quit. Let's go. We get out of the car, guns up, because we're trying to assess the situation. I did look at Henry. I said, dude, get this figured out. I don't know who friend or foe is. And he's just panicking, but he moves forward and he tries to start talking to the people there. We find out that is part of a 17th Feb Mars Brigade contingent. and that they are there to help us, except they don't know what the heck they're doing, which is pretty common when you're fighting with foreign forces unless we train them with us. Like Kandahar actually had to a group of Kandaharis that actually worked with every day. They were awesome. These guys we never worked with before, and it was showing. But nobody says a word, nobody panics, nobody says boo-hoo-hoo, this sucks. I just see guys start moving into position. I see John Tig start to move with our 203 grenade launcher, and I see him crack that breech of that 203, that golden egg he puts in that HEDP, high explosive direct penetrative round. He puts it in there, he closes the breech up, and he starts going thump, and that's a beautiful sound. You guys that have shot it, you know that's a beautiful sound when it's going outward, not coming inward. Awful when it's coming inward. And it is in my head, I'm hearing it, and I'm still doing my thing, but I'm just counting in my head. 1,000, 1,000, boom, and you just hear it start blowing the front gate up. He's taking out the heavy weapon systems. I see Jack start to shoot with his M4. I see Tyrone start to move that corner. He's just going pop, 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 coming back. And I start to move that corner. As I start to move that corner of that wall, so we're basically here. Here's the wall. We're supposed to go this way. There's the front gate. So we need to move this direction, but we're hemmed up on this wall. As I get close to that wall, I start hearing snaps go by my head. It's like a whip cracking. Crack, 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 crack. Some of you guys know what that is. It's when a high velocity round goes by your head, it breaks a sound barrier. It cracks, and it's freaking awesome. We got to do that. Maybe tomorrow. Can we do that, Jim? All right, I'll take you to range and drink a whole bunch tonight. I'll put you at the end of the range. It will sober you up like that. Do it to you. But it's awesome. And all I could do is like, thank you for putting me here. Where do you get to experience this stuff? It was awesome. And it was awesome because I was with a team that, it wasn't that they weren't scared, even though all of us are alpha males. Oh, I'm not scared. No, I was at pucker factor 10. I was sphincter level this close. This was the Ferris Bueller. You could have put a lump of coal at my butt. It would have become a diamond in about 5 seconds. But you're doing the right thing. You're moving forward. Keep moving forward. Don't quit. I'm not letting my guys down. They're not letting me down. Boone comes with me and he goes, Tanto, let's get high. Boone's our sniper. He's got our 308. I'm the smallest guy on the team. So guess what I get to carry? The machine gun, right? That's how it works. I get the heaviest gun on the team. I grab my machine gun. I grab my M4. I grab a 200 round drum. I sling it around my side. I have a little, we call it it is called this, folks. I'm not making this up. I know this is a family environment. I got a little nut sack. That's what we call it. It's a little bag that you put linked rounds in. It's attached to my machine gun. And I got magazines of M4 magazines all over me. And I was wearing shorts too. That's not a part of the movie. I actually still have those shorts. Don't buy them though. You don't want them. I'll tell you why later. I also was wearing a Mickey Mouse shirt too. We couldn't put the Mickey Mouse shirt in the movie though. Michael Eisner wasn't going to have. We had to get so many rights. Still don't know why though. Because I don't know what more America than that is Mickey Mouse shooting terrorists. I think I should have put that in the movie. I had the Mickey Mouse shirt on that night. Before the next 400 meters, we start jumping walls, and it takes us almost a half hour to fight our way on that compound on foot as we split. Jack, Tyrone, and Tig go one way, me and Boone, and I grabbed two locals. I just looked, from all the experience I've been working with locals in other countries, I just looked at these two youngsters, and I thought I could trust them. Four's a fire team. We need them. And we start moving. We did actually, if you watch the movie, it shows us clearing one building to get up on the top to think we could put sniper fire down into it. I could put, machine gun fire. Actually, we cleared two of them. And I remember going up, and I've got all this weight on me, and I'm no spring chicken anymore. I got my body armor, I got my night vision, got my helmet, got all these rounds. I got 2 different weapon systems on me. And I just remember going, oh my gosh, I'm tired as I'm trying to climb over these 8-foot high walls and clearing. And you guys that have done tactical movements, you know that clearing upstairs and clearing buildings, especially when there's just 2 of you, gets you pretty winded. And this is in a real world environment too. So I'm coming around, this isn't training, I'm coming around and clearing every one of these things. And I'm thinking, man, I don't know if I'm gonna make it. I'm already tired, it's almost 11. And then I thought back to Ranger School. I was a winter ranger. I went to Ranger School in the wintertime. I thought back to mountain phase. I had already been in Ranger School for 6 weeks at that point, because you got pre-ranger, which is 3 weeks at the 75th Ranger Regiment, which is hell on earth. Then you get the opportunity after passing that to go to Ranger School. So you're already 3 weeks into this thing, already just beat up. You haven't even started it yet. Then I got to go through RAP week. And then the IOBC guys, the officers, didn't show up on time, so we got another week, which we called 0 week, of just getting beat up. So by the time Ranger School even started, I'd already been doing it for 5 weeks. People don't get that. The ones that talk about Ranger School as like 2.5 months, they don't understand there's almost a month and a half train up before you even get there. And then I got through bending phase, which was 2.5 weeks, and then I got to mountain phase. And I thought back to mountain phase. I thought back to, okay, I was tired. And I thought back to an RI screaming at me, a ranger instructor, as I was trying to get up Mount Yonah with my pack. And I think it was 70 pounds. May have been a little heavier, may have been a little lighter. It felt like 8 million pounds regardless. And I remember I was going to fall out because I'm tired. And I remember the RIs behind me going, if you fall out, Ranger, you're done. You're done. You're done. And all I could think of, I can't quit. I can't quit. I can't go back to the Ranger Battalion without my tab. I'll get kicked out. I can't quit. I can do this. And I willed myself up that mountain. And honestly, after that, I was fine the rest of the month and a half I had in mountains and then Florida phase. And I thought that when I got to the top of that second building, so I can do this. I've done this before. Your body's going to quit before your mind. Your body will actually quit, before your mind's going to quit on you. If you can will that mind to keep pushing your body, you're going to make it. That's what I did. I can do this. I can do this. Don't quit. And I felt better. Actually, I didn't get tired the rest of the night. Well, I climbed down from that building with Boone. We jumped over that back gate. And all I saw on that 9-acre compound of that U.S. consulate is just it was completely on fire. And it was beautiful. And again, I looked up in the sky and I thank God for putting me here. Like, God, this is awesome. Who gets to see this? Just fires. Every building's on fire. Every car's on fire. There's Ansar al-Shri and Al-Qaeda in the Maghreb. They see us starting to come on. Rowan's already shooting as he's coming on, so he's already starting to push him off. It's amazing. And for the next hour, we fight them off, this 9-acre compound. We search all the buildings that are on fire as well. We find 5 survivors, 5 State Department guys. During those times that we're finding those survivors, we're also taking turns going into the burning building, the ambassador's villa that they start on fire with diesel fuel. I admire you firefighters out there. I don't mind getting shot at, really. I'd rather fight another man than Mother Nature or a fire. I ran into that first time thinking it was like a campfire as I run into that building, and the fire is on the back side of the wall. So it's not even at the front door. And I remember I ran and hit that front door, that threshold, and just went, whoa, oh, that hurt. Just the heat. I felt like my eyeballs got melted to the back of my brain. And as I took a step back, I go, I can do this, I can do this. And I ran in because everybody else was doing it. We were all taking turns. You don't quit. You don't ever quit. Well, when we weren't pulling security or we weren't taking turns doing that, pulling security or going in, then I was taking a knee on the backside of the villa because there was a back gate that was left open. So I'm holding on that back gate as my teammates take turns going in to try to find the ambassador and Sean Smith. So I'm taking a knee on this backside. And then Boone comes up to me and he goes, that MFer, that son of a bee, if he just would have let us leave on time, I can't believe this, I can't believe it. And he doesn't get mad, so it kind of freaks me out a little bit because Boone is like this, even keel. And I look at him, I don't even want to know what he's going to say. I look at him and he goes, we lost one. I said, what do you mean we lost one? He goes, the IT guy, we lost the IT guy. That hurt. I lost a lot of friends overseas. I've lost a lot here, 43 and counting. It still hurts. And when I looked at him and he said, we lost one, I had to fight it back. Because I thought it was Roan or one of my teammates, you know. And when he says the IT guy, it hurts me that I couldn't remember who that was for the first 30 seconds. And then it kind of just hit me in the head, like, oh, that's Sean Smith. We just lost Sean. All I have to do to get Boone back into it, though, is I just have to, because he's a Marine, and you Marines know, all you got to do is just get the knife hand from your leader or whoever, and you'll come right back. And I just went, and he's a sergeant. He was a former sergeant in the Corps, so I just go, Sergeant. And his eyes come back, and he comes back. I go, you good? He goes, I'm good. And I run in front of the compound, and I see Jack Silva over Sean Smith's dead body, and he's doing chest compressions on Sean Smith's body. And as I look up, first I'm going, why in the world? Because you can tell, Sean's dead. It's obvious he's dead. I'm going, what is he doing that for? And then I see Scott Wickland, who's with the ambassador, who got out, He was on the front steps rocking back and forth. He's going into shock. You can just see it in his eyes. And he's just going, he was just with me. He was just with me. He was just with me. And then I see Jack do this, and he looks up at Scott and he goes, dude, we're still in this fight. I need you to stay with us. We're still in this fight. Get your head up. Get your head up. Jack is sacrificing his own emotional state for the rest of his life to get Scott back in the fight. Scott goes into shock. We got a dead body. We only have 6 of us. We are combat ineffective. Sacrifice. Even if it's sacrificing your own emotional state forever, that's what we signed up for, guys. That's what we did, right? You accept that. I see Tyrone coming, and he runs, and he puts his arm around Scott, and he goes, "We got a long night ahead of us, brother. We need you." And just that calming resurgence, of Leonidas saying, "Hey, we need you." Works. You can see Scott come back. Then Tyrone comes up to me and Jack, after Jack and Dave Ubin, who did very well, State Department officer, did very well until he got blown up that night, put Sean's body in the back of an SUV. Tyrone comes to me and Jack and goes, "They forgot all their classified information. You got to go back to their talk and get it." It's like, oh, fine. So we run back to their talk, me and Jack. And we don't have thermite grenades because the CIA didn't put us through their pull the pin, throw the grenade course, even though we've been throwing grenades at SEALs and Rangers for 18 years. But that's government for you. We haven't been through their course, so we didn't have incendiaries, or we would just toss one in there and it would have burned everything up. We didn't have time to go find diesel fuel and throw a light on it either. So we just started cutting wires. And we picked up everything that we thought was classified, which is mainly all the electronic media. And as we're running back, Jack can see that I'm starting to drop. My morale is I'm starting to get depressed. I'm starting to lose it. And Jack looks around, and we're running through this compound. And some of you guys have been through rioted areas, kind of can relate to this. There's burnings building everywhere. Their cars are all on fire. There's broken glass. There's toilet paper strewn everywhere. I don't know why that is. It's just mass chaos. There's Libyans all over, running all over the compound. And you see Jack and me running with all this computer equipment, and we have weapons slung down here on our side. I'm Mexican. Jack is Portuguese, which is Mexican light, basically. So you got 2 Mexicans running. And Jack thinks all us Mexicans speak like Cheech Marin from Cheech and Chong. And he looks at me, and he goes, "Hey, man, does it look like we just robbed the Best Buy?" And I about fell over laughing. That's why I love that Michael did such a great job in our movie. I love the other war movies out there. We Were Soldiers, Black Hawk Down. I'm friends with a lot of those guys from Black Hawk Down. They're Rangers. They're great. Sergeant Strucker, he put me through Ranger indoctrination program. Now he's a pastor. He's the devil when he was my trainer. But I needed something. I got guys from Somalia that made me a Ranger. How lucky was that? But what I'm saying is that laughter. We're going through all that. And our movie did so great because it put all that laughter in there. All those other war movies, the bravado's there. It is always there, believe me. But the funniness that goes on during combat is not represented well in other movies. And it needs to be, because there's joke after joke after joke, because laughter is the best medicine. Laughter always will get your spirits up, no matter what. And we say so many appropriate things. Some of you guys have been through combat. You know what I'm talking about. You say the stupidest, most politically incorrect things to make somebody laugh. But you need it. And I'm sure some of you do it probably on your radios too, especially now that Super Troopers out, do the meow and the repeat and all that. So I did that too on the CIA radios. The directors hated me for it. I always did the meow. Roger, coming in the gate, meow. Yeah, and they didn't know what I was talking about. But it worked, and my spirits came up, and I pulled security on the backside of that villa again, and all of a sudden, as I took a knee, there's a big explosion. Boom. As the explosion goes off, I don't get a lot of the shrapnel. In fact, I don't get any of it. I just get a little bit of the overpressure. So I'm here, and there's an explosion here on the backside of this ambassador's villa. And as I come with my gun, this Libyan comes out of nowhere, and he's running like this in front of me. So I'm seeing his profile, so I'm just basically tracking him like this. He's about 10 meters away from me, and he runs like this. And then I see his buddy come out of the same back corner, and he clears that corner, and I see him. He's running after his buddy like this. And I'm going, as I'm following him, just trying to track it. Well, the guy that's running out first, after that explosion, where his hand is supposed to be, there's no hand. It's just blood and guts and just... And he goes, why is he laughing? What a sadistic ass he is. The guy that's chasing him, that's what he's got, isn't it? He's holding his buddy's hand. So I'm going like this, going, Dude, stop, you forgot your hand. Go back and get it. Your brain's trying to wrap around. It's not trying to be funny. It's just your brain is trying to figure it out. And that's all I can think of in my head. And I say out loud, I don't even still if they speak English, I go, what happened? He goes, grenade. As he says grenade, I put my gun down. I go, oh, well, serves you right. If you're going to throw grenades at us, make sure you pull the pin and don't hold it for 3 seconds. Only hold it for 2 before you throw it at us. It's your fault. Rub some dirt on it. You'll be all right. What he meant to say was rock propel grenade, though. So as I took a knee again, the second one hits, and it hits close. And I catch debris, and I catch a lot of overpressure. It just sucks the wind out of me. And then all of a sudden, I just hear the snaps, and we're getting attacked again. The movie did a pretty good job showing that attack. And we're just getting hammered. And all I can think of in myself is take a knee and shoot. I thought of the Rangers in Panama. I thought of the Rangers in Vietnam. I thought of the Rangers in Grenada. How they always addressed the situation. It wasn't always take cover first. It was shoot back. That's your best cover. And I took a knee and I started shooting. And I was fine. I felt like there was a little golden cocoon over the top of me. I got you. Good. Well, we ended up fighting them off. I remember I saw Boone take a knee next to me, and I saw a little Libyan come out of nowhere, take a knee next to me, and all I could think to myself was, this is the damnedest thing. God just gave me a little Libyan angel out of nowhere, and he put him right next to me. And then I looked up on the building that was on fire, and it was Tig. And Tig shooting. The Marine is up on the building that's on fire. When we got to Germany the next day, I asked the Marine, I had to ask Tig, because sometimes Marines, your brain synapses don't always fire correctly. They don't touch like they should, like normal. So I had to ask him, I go, dude, you did realize that building was on fire that you got up on? And he said, yep, it was a better fighting position. I didn't want to let you guys down. That's all he said. I make fun of grunts. I do. I'm a grunt too. I make fun of them, but I'll always go to combat with the Marine grunt because they will always put themselves out front, always, and take a bullet for you if they have to. Well, we got in our vehicles and we started to move, and I realized that we've forgotten something. But we move anyway. We get back to our Annex, because we're getting word from an ISR, there's a drone overhead that's going to get attacked, and we get word from that ISR that we had to get back. As I get back onto my building at the Annex, I'm like, oh my gosh, we did leave somebody. You never leave a fallen comrade to fall in the hands of the enemy. That's part of the 5th stanza of the Ranger Creed, and we did. We left the ambassador. I have a hard time talking about it because you don't leave any man behind. But we had to make a decision. As a leader, you're always going to have to make decisions. If you want to be in leadership, that's why you get paid the big bucks. You may have to make decisions that may haunt you for the rest of your life, but you make those decisions. It's better to make a decision than be like Bob and make no decision. He was found at 1 a.m., half on his bed, half on the floor in the back of his villa. We just couldn't get back there far enough to find him because it was so much fire. When the fire died down and the fighting moved to our Annex, locals got in there and actually found him. It's all right. I'll live with that. If we would have stayed there and tried to find him, we would have lost 30 people at our Annex. So it was a decision that I think was the right decision, but it still hurts. When we get back to our Annex, we get word that there's militia's coming, or the Ansar Sharia and Al-Qaeda in the Maghreb. They're moving to our compound at the Annex, and I can already see them, and they're already moving through an area we call Zombie Land. It looked just like the movie. It really did. It was very haunting, and I'm watching these terrorists move at us through night vision. So I got my night vision on, and I'm watching them move, and they're hiding, and they're moving from position to position. And like I said, we are the greatest nation in the world, and we have the greatest army in the world because we own the night. And night vision is part of that. And as I'm watching them move towards us, all I'm doing is going, I don't know why you're hiding, dude. You're just going to die tired. It's just dumb. And I know that sounds callous, but they're terrorists, folks. Bad people. And then I see a fizz come over that back fence. And as it comes over that back fence, I'm thinking, oh, good, it missed Tig and Oz. It went over their fighting position. But I see Tig out of his position. And as I see this fizz come over the back fence and it lands, Tig went to get water, and it's like it's meeting him, this bomb. And it just goes, boom, blows up. My night vision goes white. As it goes white, I go, to my head, I go, well, I'll clean his body parts up later, and I move. And I just start fighting. 5 minutes it took us to fight him off. And Ansar Sharia and Al-Qaeda. The movie did a pretty good job showing that. After that firefight was done, I look back and Tig's not there. Like, well, he couldn't have just got blown to bits. And I look in the fighting position. He's in his fighting position. And I thought to myself, what the hell are they giving these dang Marines? I need some of this stuff. These Hull bars are eating. Give me some of that. Tig got hit with what was called a gelatina bomb. It doesn't have shrapnel. It's used for fishing. That's what its real use is for, Mediterranean fishing. They drop in the ocean, blows up, fish come up. It's Mediterranean redneck fishing at its finest. Tig's a big dude, so it didn't kill him. It hurt. His arm's still messed up. His back is still messed up. It would have killed me. It would have stopped my heart. But Tig's like 6'3", 230, 235. But he's messed up for life, but he fought through it. He didn't give up. Between 1 and 3 o'clock, this is when we know nobody's coming to help us, 1 a.m. and 3 a.m. Because Boone continually is coming to me and saying, hey, the SIF team, Commanders in Extremis Force, 10th Group, 10th Special Force Group, they're coming. Then it comes back to me, no, they're not coming. Then he comes back to me 5 minutes later, and he goes, hey, the Fast Company from Sigonella, they're on their way. Hey, the Spain, one from Spain, they're moving too. They're coming towards us. And he comes back to me 5 minutes later, nope, they're not coming. He comes back to me a third time, then a fourth time about Delta, about Spectre, about the 555th Fighter Wing moving, and it's just breaking my heart. Sixth time he comes to me, I just go, dude, if it ain't Domino's Pizza, don't tell me. You're killing me, dude. Just don't quit. 3 a.m., we get hit again. Team's moving on us. These terrorists, and the movie did a fantastic job. It's just wave after wave of terrorists. And to me, it simulated they're the waves, and we're a retaining wall, and they're just crashing and going out, and you're just taking them out. I saw the ISR feed later. There's actually an RPG that went through me and Boone. I didn't even see it. Just went, whoosh. You focus, you fight, you finish the objective, you finish the mission. And we fight them off again. At 5 a.m., Bub's team, we hear that he's coming in. Bub's team never quit. Bub never quit. He actually commandeered, yes, they did commandeer an all-executives jet, and they flew from Tripoli to Benghazi. He saved 2 lives that night, even though it cost him his own. Doesn't matter. Give of yourself. Sacrifice. I know Bub's feeling that way as he watches us up from heaven. He couldn't find our compound. Bub was the only character in the movie that wasn't portrayed correctly. Toby didn't give him due justice. Toby Stevens. Bub was funny. He was hilarious. But I hear Bub on the radio because they've been sitting at the airfield and they have to go 10 miles to find our compound. Nobody can find it. They can't find a militia that can get them there. So they've been driving around the city all night trying to get 10 miles. And he gets on the radio and I hear him and he's fed up and he goes, guys, this militia has no idea where you guys are at. Google and Siri don't know where you're at. And I actually started cracking up. I thought that was funny. He goes, can somebody help us vector us in? I go, Bub, get your night vision on. I'm going to lasso the front gate. So I turn my infrared laser on my rifle. I get up in the air and I do this with it. And then I poke it at the front gate, and I sparkle it. It's how you call for fire and Spectre gunships or helicopters, rotary wing helicopters. He goes, we got it, we're coming in. I can feel the morale again of the whole base just lowering, it's going. And I look at my watch, been at it for 8.5 hours. I go, Tanto, you got to tell a joke, you got to tell a joke. And I had a Snickers right here. Grabbed that Snickers, ate a bite of it. So I no longer felt like Rosie O'Donnell. I felt like myself again. That's not a political joke, guys. That's not. That's just an angry, grouchy joke. That's all that is. But it does work. Snickers does pick you up. You see that commercial? It does. I took that Snickers bite. I turned for infrared laser off. And I go, Bub, did you see that? You got it? He goes, yep, we're coming in. I go, roger that. I go, break. Guys, I know this is an awkward time to tell you this, but I've had to take a crap since we left the consulate. I said that. It's in the movie. It's not funny. It really is not. The timing is funny. What's funny is that for 5.5 hours, or maybe not funny, it could be miserable if it was you, I had a turtle head poking out for 5.5 hours of 2 firefights. I was just crowning the whole time. Every time I'm shooting, I'm like, oh my gosh. That's why you don't want to buy my shorts if I sell them on eBay. The lesson learned from that as a leader, and I learned this from one of the best leaders in the nation's ever had. My first battalion commander was General Stanley McChrystal, Lieutenant Colonel Stanley McChrystal. He taught us self-deprecating humor. Ranger Battalion, that's what they teach you at Ranger Battalion. That's why we're such goofs. You see, Matt Best was a private when I was a team leader at Ranger Battalion. Matt is capitalizing, the Article 15 guys, they're capitalizing on what we do every day at Ranger Battalion. God bless him. I'm glad he is. He's a great guy. We're funny, self-deprecating humor. Don't be afraid to make fun of yourself to pick others up. Even if it's going to be in a movie and everybody's going to see that you had to crap your pants in the whole world. Go ahead. Don't have that pride that you can't make fun of yourself just to pick your team up, or anyone. Well, Bub comes up, Bub comes in, I see him go to building C, so I see Bub, I see Oz, I see Tyrone, I see Dave Ubin. It's about in the middle of the room there. I'm on building A. As I see the militia park outside, I look down at the militia and I hear a shh. It didn't sound like a mortar. Now my hearing had been shot out. I'm supposed to wear hearing aids, I don't. It's actually quite wonderful going through life, not being able to hear people, especially when you're married. Is she in the room? Is she in the room? Okay, I said, no, I love my wife, but it really is. It's dang. And I went, did you guys hear that? And then I went, in my head, it was like, something in my head goes, it's mortar, you idiot, it's a mortar. And I went, mortars, take cover. And so it said, take cover. I saw the first one hit and it explodes. And I see Tyrone, I see Oz, I see Dave Ubin, and I say Bub, all spin, and they just start shooting because we're getting hit again for the 5th time that night. And I put a few rounds over their head. After I shoot, I look, and there's nobody coming from my 6 o'clock. As I turn around again to shoot, I see another mortar go boom, and it blows up. And the guy goes down. This is Dave Ubin. Dave had taken his helmet off and hadn't got a chance to get it back on before the mortars hit, and he got shrapnel in his face. He's out of the fight. As I turn around again, 3rd time, I go bang, bang, and I see a boom, 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 right, fire for effect, dead center in building C. Or my night vision goes white, and as it comes back, all I see is pixie dust coming down. And I put my head down. It's like, oh, his team just got turned to dust. It's just what it looked like. And I went, I can't beat this. I don't have any air support. And then God said, get your gun up, Ranger. I kept fighting. You never quit. It doesn't matter what the odds are. You keep fighting. You don't give up, ever. I see Tig get up on that rooftop. I saw that militia shoot off. As Tig gets up on that rooftop, he starts to treat people. I was talking to Tig the next day, what he saw when he got on that rooftop, because I was still fighting. He says, well, I got up there and I saw Oz, and Oz was actually trying to shoot back, but he couldn't because his rifle kept falling because he didn't realize his arm was hanging by just tendons and it was just flapping down here. He says, I sat Oz down. Oz already had started to get a tourniquet out. He says, they got it out, and he started to tighten it down. He goes, can you handle this yourself? He says, Oz said, yep. And he goes, I went and looked at Bub. Bub was face down. I rolled him over, checked him. He was dead. He says, I went to Tyrone. He says, I rolled him over. He went, he expired. He died. He says, I checked him anyway just to make sure, but 381 millimeter mortar hits. He's dead. He says, then I went to Dave Ubin. He says, Dave's leg was this way, and his arm was this way. And he says, I got tourniquets on Dave to stop that blood flow. He says, then I went back over to check on Oz because I left him. And that's when we started laughing the next day in the bar at the Air Force Base in Ramstein. Because he says, I went back to Oz, and Oz is going into shock, he says, but Oz thought it was the coolest thing that he could do this with his arm and do 360s. You Marines are, again, did I tell you about the brain synapses? They just don't always fire. And he goes, stop that, stop it. Because, you know, we're not medics. We know how to do a lot of the stuff we do, but we're not 18 Deltas. So we're thinking, he's thinking it's going to pop off. He keeps spinning it. And he says, stop playing with your arm, stop playing with your arm. Oz is like, this is awesome. I go, how'd you get him to stop playing with it? This is how you get a Marine to stop playing with anything. He said, I told him if he kept playing with it, he'd go blind, and he stopped. And I fell out of the bar stool. I did. I had a little bit to drink. You know, hey, we're piling at the moon. I'm not going to admit that I don't like a whiskey every once in a while. And I fell out of that bar stool laughing. Humor. Get through humor. Humor helps you get through anything. He says, I gave Oz also a job. He asked if he could get down off this roof. And Oz climbed his own butt off the roof, one arm. I even heard him slipping and catching himself on that ladder from all the blood that was on it. That still hurts to think about. Because I remember just hearing his groans, just the pain he was going through, walking his own butt in that room. Well, 5 a.m., 7 a.m., I get word that there's a militia coming in, and the movie's spot on. It was me, Jack, and Dave, and Boone. And as the militia's coming in, my chief is telling me, Tanto, you got the front gate. This militia's coming in. Make sure they're friendly. I go, roger that, Chief. What do they look like? We don't know. I go, what are their uniforms? Are they wearing any? We don't know. Do they have insignias? We don't know. Colors? We don't know that either. How many? 30 to 50, including technicals. The technical is a truck. You guys have been downrange, know a truck that has an anti-aircraft gun or a big-ass machine gun in the back that can blow holes through brick walls. So roger that. I go to have a communication with him. He goes, nope. I was like, thanks, Chief. And I see this militia coming in. Pablo Schreiber played me perfect. perfectly in the movie. He should have been given top billing in the movie. He's by far the best actor in the movie. I don't know how John Krasinski got top billing. Pablo did awesome. He's huge, though. He's like 6'4", 245, 250. He's not as good looking, so I thought it was a pretty fair trade-off. But I see this militia coming in. He played it exactly. I'm watching him. I'm seeing, oh, this is it. This is it. Again, it's not bravado. Wasn't feeling, oh, I'm so brave. I'm standing up to this militia. It was, oh, my goodness. This is going to hurt. But you don't quit. I'm not giving up on my teammates. I'm not giving up on myself. I have faith that we're going to get through this. Whatever happens, we're going to get through it. And as I see the front two guys in the vehicle, one is the tactical commander sitting in the passenger seat. The other is a machine gunner on a Dishka, 50 cal machine gun. They're chewing cot. They chew it before they go into battle. It's a drug. It's like cocaine. It's basically Copenhagen mixed with steroids and cocaine. It's just a big old dip. And it looked like they've been chewing it since they were about 2. No teeth, nothing. And all I could think of was this. I did the little jumbo. That wasn't the movie. I threw it up. I learned the jumbo in Mosul when I was working in Mosul. Another place I have a great timeshare if you ever want to visit. Mosul's great this time of year. I learned it from the Sudanese that threw it up. Every time I go out the gate, they say, hey, jumbo, Tanto. It means good morning, but I stopped one day. I said, what are you guys doing that jumbo to me? They go, we're just, be cool. It basically just means the same thing as shaka now. Shaka's this way, jumbo's this way. It's the only thing I could think of. So I went like this, and I went, oh. And the front guy in the vehicle and the machine gunner, they both smiled at me. They went like this. I've seen some beautiful smiles. My wife's beautiful. I have a beautiful daughter. Beautiful smiles throughout my life. But to this day, I still have never seen a smile as beautiful as that little poopy grin coming from those Dishka gunner and that commander in that front vehicle. And I said, they're with us, they're with us. And we got out of there. They brought a huge militia. We linked up with them. We got in their vehicles. We shot to the airfield. The plane that Bub had gotten over for Oz, even though Bub had died, for Oz and Dave, it saved their lives because Oz and Dave were about to bleed out. In fact, Dave was continually going into seizure because he was so much blood loss, and one of the tourniquets had kept coming loose. Got him on that plane. They flew back to Tripoli. We waited till 10:30. At 10:30, I see a C-130 land. It comes, it taxis. As I'm looking at that C-130, I'm thinking, finally Air Force, finally Americans. And I look at the tail boom, and it's red, green, and black. One Stars and Stripes. It was a Libyan plane. I went, still no Americans. Don't give up. It parked, it turns its engines off. Long story short, in that portion, we went down, talked the pilot and the crew into flying us out. It just showed up. It wasn't for us. No matter who you talk to in the political world, DC, agency, NSA, that plane just showed up. We got lucky. What I tell you about faith. Have faith. Increases your luck. We got on that plane, flew back to Tripoli from Benghazi, landed. I took 2 hours off, got some food, got some clothes from some of my buddies because I lost everything. And then we got on the first U.S. aircraft we saw, C-17 flown by Eric Stahl. We flew to Germany, landed in Ramstein. Lady from the USO showed up. And I still had my M4. I wouldn't let go of my gun. She goes, you're safe now. You can let go of it. General Ham actually came on board too. He says, you can let go. I said, yes, sir. Here is my gun. Oh, and here's the 8 magazines. And they're all over me. But she came up to me, that lady from the USO, and she goes, what'd you lose, son? I said, I lost everything, man. She goes, here's a piece of paper, here's a pen, write it down. So I wrote everything down, get it back to her. I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. I'll probably get some underwear back, some of the brown underwear that we used to get in basic training, maybe. She came and knocked on my door at 2 a.m., handed me a bag of stuff. I opened up the bag, and thank God we're at our Air Force base and not an Army or Marine base, because, they have like a Saks Fifth Ave and a Macy's and a Neiman Marcus on the Air Force bases. I got better stuff leaving than I did coming back in. I looked at them like, I tell people that story because I thought it was actually pretty funny. And it also validated a stereotype about the Air Force and the Army and the living conditions. But I also tell that story because the USO, if you ever have a doubt about a foundation to help, because there's so many out there that don't do what you think they're going to do, the USO does what they tell you they're going to do. It was amazing. It was a godsend. I went to bed, woke up the next day, turned the TV on, see somebody talking about a video and a protest, turned the TV back off, went to bed. Flew back to home and took 2 months off. I didn't quit. And I got back on a plane and I went to Sanaa, Yemen, and worked and fought in Sanaa, Yemen, until we screwed that place up too, and we had to diddy me out of there. No matter what you're faced with, guys. And I know I went a little bit long, and I appreciate it. Jim, thank you for letting me go a little bit long. Well, no matter what you're going through, you can always overcome. You can't control other people's actions. You can't control what they're going to do. You guys on the outside working on the streets, you know that. What you can always control is your attitude. If you can keep that attitude positive, you're going to get through anything. In your head, I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to give up. I've seen guys, more than once, I had a little girl blown up on me in Iraq. I fought through it. You can overcome. Don't lose that positive mindset. Don't lose your faith. And again, if you don't believe in God, that's fine. But believe in something. I'm telling you, there's something bigger than you out there. Well, God bless you. Thanks. Sheriff Clark, thanks for waiting on me too, bro. I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.